Hello and welcome back. Today we are going to take a look at the new Doctor Who 14th Doctor and Meep 2-pack from Character Options. So I've just ordered this from Character Options website, and I believe it's a exclusive for their website. It has literally just arrived, so I thought we'd tear it open and take a look at this new 2-pack. Here we have the 2-pack. It comes in the new style packaging with the newest logo on the top. We get the Vortex, Time Vortex in the background. So High Deco Vortex edition figures. So these are the more decorated, better paint apps figures than the standard baseline. They are the 5.5 inch scale. It comes with alternate Meep head and hands, 14th Doctor and his sonic screwdriver. We get the TARDIS logo and 14th Doctor and Meep Vortex edition figures. You can see it's in a window box packaging, and you can see what we get within the side. So we get 14th Doctor, Meep with an alternate head and some hands. Bring it around the side, the Doctor Who logo. Back is a episode summary for the Star Beast from 2023, which was one of the 60th anniversary specials. A Vortex edition, Doctor Who Vortex edition. These are a new range of figures which feature higher specification deco applied over base colour plastics for extra detail. 5.5 inch. Quote from the episode, content summary, 14th Doctor. Bottom is legal and barcode, side is Doctor Who. So let's get this opened and take a look. I ordered this primarily for the 14th Doctor because so far I've been using a blue jacket 10th Doctor as my 14th, and it works well enough, but I have been wanting a 14th Doctor. Unfortunately, I missed out on the Regeneration 2-pack from, I think, 23, maybe even 22. So pulling it out, we have a backdrop of the factory and Meep's rocket ship. The Doctor is tied in with some cardboard cable ties. I much prefer these to the god-awful plastic ones. They're easier to cut and they don't leave as much of a mess. Price wise, I believe this was $45. So it was slightly on the pricier side. But I suppose given the extra features or the extra accessories Meep comes with, it was probably to be expected to be a slightly pricier figure. Let's get the Meep out. Let's get rid of these cable ties. Let's pop. Get rid of cable ties. Let's not forget our screwdriver. That's probably an accessory which is easily lost. And then finally the extra hands for Meep. So let's toss those out. 3, 4. Go to one side. Right, so first up, let's take a look at Meep, I think. Yeah. we'll take a look at Meep to begin with. So it's primarily a white figure, but there are some really nice dark washes across it, which give some depth and life to the figure. We get the pink ears, and it comes with its sort of innocent, wide-eyed head. We do get the alternate head sculpt of Evil Meep, with the teeth showing and the eyes a little narrower. We get feet. It's a small little squat figure compared to the, it's about a quarter of the size of the Doctor. So the Doctor will stand at just over 5 inches. He's a little under 5.5. And then Meep is so small I can't even measure it. It's Meep's about 2.5 inches, so considerably smaller. But the character is obviously a smaller character, so it's in scale. Articulation wise, there is nothing at the legs of the feet. They are just a moulded sculpt. There is a waist swivel. It's on a slight rocker, so you can get it at a slight movement forward, slight out, and get definitely more of a movement back. So you can get some movement there. Arms are on swivel ball joints, so you can get a full 360 range of movement there. We get a hinge and rotation sort of, but it's limited by the sculpt of the up forearm. And then the arms, the hands are on swivels as well. There's some nice pink tonage on the fingers to give some depth to it. Head is on a ball joint and peg, so it'll pop off easily enough for exchanging the heads, and then you get a nice full range of movement there. It does like to keep popping off. It's not as quite as tight as maybe I would have liked it, but it is easy enough to change those heads over because of that. Quite like that evil head. That's quite a sinister looking head. As for switching out the hands, it is just a case of popping them out and taking the other hands. So you can pop that out, and you can give her the blaster. Sorry. So alternate hand wise, we get one with her, or they, holding the blaster, a cupped hand, an open hand, sort of bent, almost squirreling hands, and another open hand. So there we have our look at Meep. I like the figure. There's some nice range of movement there. The paint apps are really nice. The alternate head looks suitably sinister, while the first head gives it that sweet, innocent appearance from the earlier on in the episode. The tonage of the wash is really nicely done and really does add some layers to this character. Would have been nice if perhaps they could have molded in some sort of articulation at the legs, but it's not a make or break for the character. You still get plenty of posing there. So there's our Meep. Then, moving these aside, we have our 14th Doctor. His sonic screwdriver is fully painted, which is something Character Options has always done and really nice. You've got the silver paint and gold down here into the cream, up, and you've even got the blue of the sonic part at the top. There's some really nice detailing on this throughout. As for the 14th himself, besides his sonic, he doesn't have any other accessories. Likeness is a really decent likeness of David Tennant as he appeared in the Star Beast. He's in his waistcoat and, is that a tie or a cravat appearance, rather than wearing the jacket or anything else. You have some really nice detailing on the waistcoat here. It's difficult to see, but there is a crosshatch colouring throughout, and it's in different tones. So the first part of the waistcoat's in that burgundy colour, then there is a black lines, and then there's almost grey on either side of the cross stitching. I think there's even maybe a slight blue in there as well. So there is a lot of detailing and paint apps in this waistcoat. There's plenty of detailing again in the tie cravat. The back is done in a plain blue, but there is a wash of black there as well, so it gives it a sense of depth and shadow. Same as you go down into the trousers. In fact, you can see a better look here on the trousers of that cross hatching. So there's plenty of paint apps down here on the shoes as well. There's some really nice molded detail throughout to give a sense of creases and folds in the clothing themselves. David Tennant's figure looks, because he's obviously, sorry about that, because he is obviously older in this episode. I don't want to say he's overweight, because he's not, but he's obviously slightly bigger in the stomach than he was as the 10th Doctor, and you can see here that they have given him a new chest mould to give him slightly more of a stomach than the 14th had. In fact, what I can do is go and bring in a 10th Doctor for comparison. So here we have my 10th Doctor figure, which I've been using as a stand-in for the 14th. And I have other 10th Doctor figures. And you can see here it's a slightly slender figure. The jacket hides a lot of it, but you can see that this one has more of a, I don't want to say gut, because that sounds insulting. He's certainly not overweight in any way whatsoever, but it's that natural growth of the body, or changing of the body as you naturally get older. It's that dad bod, I guess. While we're here, we might as well have a look at the likenesses of the two. So he has a longer, slightly more gaunt face here, which looks older. Character Options have never done poor likenesses, in my opinion. They've always had quite good likenesses. This was a really good likeness for the 10th Doctor, given the age of the figure. This one's from 2004, so this figure's 20 years old, and you can see that can't be right. Since 2004. Doctor Who only returned in 2004. Okay, but anyway, you get that the figure's, an older figure. Paint app for the face is definitely more of a human tone. It's more natural, whereas this looks more like a painted face. So you can see the differences in the tonage there. But the hair looks nice. There's some brown with some black washes in it to give the depth and shading to it. So overall, it's a really nice looking figure, and it's clear Character Options have put a lot of time and thought into the paint apps. And given the price of this set, it's something I would have expected. Articulation wise, we get a swivel at the head, slight rockage. I think that's just because it's on the peg and you can sort of move the peg, but you can't have him posed looking down or up. Arm is on the same swivel and ball as Meep and a lot of modern figures. So you get some nice move there. We get swivel at the bicep. These are quite loose and look like you could just easily pull them out, so that's something to be mindful of. That's a little disappointing. We get a bend at the elbow, no swivel or anything there. And then swivel at the wrists. There is a waist swivel, but it's hindered by the mold of the waistcoat. I just noticed you can actually see some molded detail along the trousers here, even some stitching at the back for the seam of the trousers, which is a really nice touch. There's even a tiny little bit of silver paint dab here in the buckle of the waistcoat. Legs are on a similar joint to the arms, so you can't really go back because of the mold of the body, but we'll go forward that far, out to the side that far. Single bend at the knee. There is no sort of boot or ankle cut, so they are solid. There we are. The elbow bend on this one isn't quite as deep. I don't think it's minuscule, but I don't think this one's quite as deep because of the mold of the shirt. No, they are different. He can get or he should get a grip on his screwdriver. There we go. I like this figure, I really do. I think it looks fantastic. Same with Meep. So I think the original Doctor Who line toys were definitely aimed at children, but although I think they also satisfied a itch with collectors. A lot of the older figures did also appeal to collectors. They did a lot of the classic figures and still are to a certain extent. But I feel that this new Vortex line of figures from Character Option is squarely aimed at the collector market. I mean, £40 price tag is a lot for two small figures. I mean, I think as a Vortex line and being aimed at collectors, and I think a reasonable comparison is something like Hasbro's Marvel Legends line, where you expected to pay £20 to £25 a figure. If I'd been expected to pay £45 for this as a Marvel Legends figure, I perhaps would have had issues with that, because Marvel Legends do have a lot more. You would expect a lot more articulation and things from them. From Character Options, it's still slightly on the pricier side, but this is obviously a online exclusive. There's a much smaller market than, you know, Marvel or Star Wars or whatever one of those big lines are. So I kind of understand having to play a sort of, should we say, collector premium, because it is a niche. Doctor Who's certainly a much more of a niche market. But yeah, at the price point these are coming in at, these are definitely aimed more at the collector market, and I like them. I feel that they are suitable as a collector line toy, especially this 14th Doctor, which has so much detailing throughout. You don't have the same level of articulation as you might expect with something like a Marvel Legends or whatever. That's a little disappointing, but it's made up for in these paint apps, which are just stunning, absolutely stunning. So overall, I think £40 or £45 is a slightly steeper price point than I feel is completely necessary, but equally I kind of understand why it's probably hitting that point. However, overall, I'm really happy with these. I'm definitely glad to be adding these to the collection. And it'd be nice enough to have a proper 14th Doctor. So I now have all of the current known Doctors. I mean, there's an argument over Billy Piper at the moment, but we won't go into that. But there we have them. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Until next time, stay safe and always be kind. Thank you. Goodbye.